Well, let's bring in the UKIP leader, Nigel Farage, who's spoken out against any UK military action in Syria. Thanks for joining us. Why are you opposed?
I'm opposed because we seem to be getting involved in an endless series of foreign wars that we enter into without ever really thinking through the consequences. We've now been in Afghanistan for longer than the First and Second World Wars added together. We, of course, had the escapade in Iraq. We've bombed Libya. And I do disagree with Claire Short on one thing. She says this is US dominated. Actually, it appears to me that William Hague and David Cameron are the keenest members of the international community to reach and rush for military action. And just ask yourself, by sending cruise missiles into Syria as a punishment for possibly using chemical weapons, how does that make anything better? I would have thought that perhaps it makes things even more unstable, and we risk getting dragged into a conflict with big players on both sides of the argument. I cannot see that this is in our national interest, and I cannot see how firing cruise missiles can make anything better.
The use of chemical weapons is illegal under the Chemical Weapons Convention. It can't just be left unchecked, can it?
Well, killing people's against all international law. I mean, there are many forms of behaviour as well as chemical weapons that are against international law. I totally accept that something pretty heinous has taken place in Syria, but I'm not going to listen to the government telling me that it's absolutely certain that it's the Assad regime that did this. I heard all this 10 years ago from Tony Blair's government about weapons of mass destruction, and I think it would be inappropriate for us to go into war until we're absolutely certain that it's Assad that used the weapons. And even if we are certain, I still don't think that launching military strikes on Syria will make anything better, and I fear that we'll get ourselves involved in yet another endless conflict. And for all this to be happening, and for this new expenditure to be endorsed at a time when we're slashing our own armed forces and treating our own servicemen and servicewomen so badly, is something that makes me really very angry.
You talk about concern about getting drawn into another potentially long conflict. The talk of any military action is that it would be short and sharp to send a message to Assad's regime. If there were a way of doing it in a relatively surgical way, would you support that?
No. I mean, what does sending a message mean? I mean, who's to say that if we fire in, and we and the Americans fire in, 300 or 400 cruise missiles, who's to say that won't bring down the regime? What then? Do we take over? Do Al-Qaeda take over? I mean, whose side are we on here? Yes, we're against many of the things that Assad have done, but do we know who the opposition are? Have we really thought through any of this? And I think the answer is no.
Now that everything has been said that has been said, America talked about the red lines. It feels like we are moving inexorably towards military action. Can there not be military action? Because if there isn't, it will look weak, won't it?
Well, that, of course, is Obama's problem. He's the one that used the term red line. But I would have thought, I mean, certainly British public opinion is opposed to us getting involved in another war that is not directly in our national interest. And I would have thought American public opinion was much the same. So we appear to have the leaders of Britain, France and Germany egging each other on, but I don't see public democratic support for this anywhere.
Nigel Farage, thank you.
Thank you.